Our daily Bible reading today comes from Jeremiah chapter 1 through chapter 3. And our daily devotional today here at Carrollton Christian Fellowship comes from the beginning of Jeremiah chapter 1. And with Jeremiah, the book, what we see and with what God is saying and communicating through Jeremiah is that although the nation, the southern tribes, they're of Judah, so Judah and Benjamin, although they are going to be conquered, God still has a plan for them and with them. So God is still going to be faithful, even though there needs to come a chastening and a correction of the nation. He will still be faithful to his promises. With the first 10 verses of Jeremiah chapter 1, we see the introduction to the life and times of the prophet Jeremiah. So when he wrote, what it was like, and also who he was, what his family was, where he comes from, and who his parents were. We also learn throughout the book of Jeremiah that Jeremiah's 40 years of ministry, we see an amazing testimony of faithfulness of an individual who is surrendered to the Lord for the Lord's will and the Lord's purpose, no matter what the cost is. So there's cost to what Jeremiah is going to do, and in light of the cost, the Lord gives Jeremiah courage in the face of the insurmountable discouragement, in face of the opposition, and also in the face of very small results. Small to no results, no conversions, no one responding, and no one turning and heeding the words of the Lord that were spoken through and by Jeremiah. This also tells us of an even greater testimony of the love of God, his faithfulness, and his strength to bring about and to complete what his will is and what his design and call on someone else's life, and also in the life of those that he has to chasten, those that he needs to get their attention redirected back onto him, to inform and to warn properly and to let the nation understand and know the consequences and where the results of their rebellion, where that ends up and leads to. Jeremiah's 40 years, it takes us from the 13th year of King Josiah, his reign there in Judah, all the way through and up to the point of Judah's captivity and being carried away into Babylon. Jeremiah writes to us of God's calling upon his life and also Jeremiah's response to God's calling. Jeremiah lets us know and writes for us by inspiration of the Holy Spirit what Jeremiah's understanding was of God's calling on his life. So Jeremiah, his first response to the Lord of God's calling into ministry, him into ministry, was that Jeremiah saw and looked at what his understanding of whether and what he could complete. And for us, that is a very good encouragement and a great thing that we should always step out into anytime that God calls us into or asks us into something that he has. We should always approach it and always be in the mindset of what our understanding is that if it's by our strength and by our might, there is absolutely no way that it can be completed. But what this also tells us through all of Jeremiah's writings, through his book, this is an example to us that it's not about what we can do and what we can muster up in our strength. But what it is it is God's faithfulness to complete his calling and his ordination upon a man's life. There is absolutely nothing we can do to come in and to supersede God's ability and to say, okay, God, I've got this. Okay, you've done enough. You've gone so far, but I can take it from here, Lord. I can take it from here in ministry or in whatever we have. And so that also goes for our life, and that also goes for our family. Anything that we go forward in as believers, we should go forward in a heart and in an understanding that it's only by God's understanding and by God's equipping that we will ever come to and see this thing, our family, our children, anything that it is, anything brought to completion that is honoring to the Lord. And so I hope that this will be an encouragement to you to go forward and to be excited about what we see in the life of and in the writings of Jeremiah and his prophecies. that what we see, although yes, the Lord does bring correction and chastening, God still is not done. God still desires to use the nation of Israel, and will and does, and also for our life. That though there may be times of correction and chastening, God is not through with us. God is not done with what he desires to do in and through our lives. So again, I hope this will be an encouragement to you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So take care. Have a blessed one.